Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another fun and exciting day of learning. My name is Miss LaTondra, and I am a literacy coach with the Mississippi Department of Education. I will be your teacher for today's lesson. Today, we will be learning about a Mayan boy named Canal, whose family has to harvest the maize before a hurricane hits his village. So let's find out how Canal and his family harvested the maize. But before we read our story, let's take a look at our slides. We're going to take a look at our objectives for a second. At the end of today's lesson, you will be able to explain that a shift occurred from hunting and gathering to farming among early peoples. Compare and contrast hunter-gatherer societies and Mayan society. Explain the importance of extended family to the Maya. Identify the area in which the Maya lived. And explain that the Maya farmed. So next, we are going to take a look at what we are going to be reading today. So today, we are going to be reading our story, The Maya and the Hurricane. And as we get ready to read our story, we're going to look for the lesson in our story. So over 1,000 years ago, well, actually thousands of years ago, some people followed animals they were hunting and slowly moved into different parts of North America, Central America, and South America. We will learn how some of these people eventually settled into 3 different parts of the Americas and became known as the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca. We will learn more about each of these groups over the next few weeks. But I want you to take a minute and think about this question. How does your family get food? Do you have to travel far to get your food? Or is it available near your home? Say the word nomad with me. Nomad. Very good. A nomad is a person who does not stay in one place for very long. A nomad moves from place to place very often. And if we think back long ago, people did not have grocery stores from which to buy their food. And very long ago, there were no farmers or people who planted and grew their own food. So the main way to get food was to hunt and eat animals. Nomads hunted large animals, and they ate their meat for food. The animals didn't stay in one place very long, so nomads would pack their things and move frequently to follow the animals that they hunted. All right, so let's take a look at our next slide. So on this next slide, you will see a picture of buffalo. So these buffalo were animals that the Mayan actually hunted. So the Lakota Sioux. Now I want you to think back because some of these terms we learned in our last lesson. So the Lakota Sioux were nomads who followed the buffalo. Their source of food and clothing. In some areas, there weren't enough large animals left to hunt and use for food. So people began hunting smaller animals like deer and rabbits. They also started looking for plants they could eat like nuts, berries, and seeds. Searching for and picking plants that you find growing in the wild is called gathering. Over the years, some people noticed that certain plants grew better in some places, and they began to collect, save, and plant these seeds to grow gardens. Some of the first plants that people planted in the Americas were peppers and pumpkins. Over time, some people chose to grow more plants to eat. These people chose to live in one place for a much longer period of time and grow their own food on a farm. Other people continued to search for and gather food. So today, we will begin to learn about a group of people that lived and farmed together a long time ago called the Maya. The Maya lived in the rainforest in Mexico and Central America. This is a picture of Mexico and also Central America, and the Yucatan Peninsula. A rainforest is a type of forest that is very warm and wet. Many evergreen plants live in the rainforest, which means that the rainforest is green all year long. So in today's read aloud, a young boy named Pick is worried that a hurricane may damage his family's crop of corn. So one of our vocabulary words today is hurricane. Can you say the word hurricane with me 3 times? Hurricane, hurricane, hurricane. Awesome job. A hurricane is a very strong storm with dangerous wind and rain. A hurricane can cause damage to buildings and roads. Everybody stayed indoors and away from the windows during the hurricane. So what should we do if we know a hurricane is coming? That's exactly right. We should not be outdoors and we should stay far away from windows. Our next vocabulary word is maize. Pick, a character in the Maya, A Harvest and a Hurricane, is very worried about gathering all the corn or maize his family has grown before a hurricane arrives. Say maize with me 3 times. Maize, maize, maize. Awesome job. Maize is another word for corn. Arulo wished his mother would cook maize for dinner every night. Yoon loved helping her parents grow maize on their small farm. Do you enjoy eating maize? I do. So now we are going to read our story, and I want you to pay very close attention as we get started. The Maya, a harvest and a hurricane. Once there was a Mayan boy named Kanal. Kanal lived with his family about 3,000 years ago in an area that is now called the Yucatan Peninsula. One day, Kanal was working in a field near the village where his family lived when he saw another Mayan boy coming his way. It was his cousin Pick. Kanal smiled and said, "Hello, how are you?" As we read this story, remember the Maya named their children for things they know, such as plants or animals or types of weather. Kanal means snake. Pick had been lost in thought. He answered, "I'm fine, thanks." But he looked unhappy. So Kanal asked, "What's wrong?" Pick said, "My father told me that he is certain there is a hurricane headed this way. He is worried about being able to harvest the maize in our field before the hurricane reaches us." Remember, we just talked about a hurricane. A hurricane is a storm with very strong winds and heavy rains. Maize or corn was the main crop the Maya grew for food 1,000 years ago, as it still is today. Like most plants we grow for food, maize should be picked when the time is right to get it at its best. Kanal knew this, so he understood why Pick was upset. "That's terrible," Kanal said. "Let us go find my father. He will know what to do. He is one of the wisest men in the village." So the 2 boys started down the dirt path toward the village. As they drew nearer, they saw the houses ahead, each one made of stone. Kanal's younger sister, Ekal, was sitting in front of their house weaving cotton to make a brightly colored garment. When she saw the boys, she smiled. Kanal asked her, "Has father returned from fishing?" Not yet, said Ekal. If you are looking for him, he said he would probably try the place where he caught the big fish last week. So the two boys continued on through the village. An old woman smiled and waved them over. Here is a little something for you boys, she said. She handed them some chicle, fresh from the sapodilla tree, she smiled. Chicle is like chewing gum, and the boys popped some into their mouths and said, "Thank you," and continued on their way. 10 minutes later, they reached the riverbank. A little upstream, Kanal's father, Toon, stood knee-deep in water while the other village men were getting out of a canoe. Toon was strong and very smart, and everyone liked him. Kanal and Pick watched as Toon and the other men dragged a fishing net from the canoe to the shore. As the boys hurried forward, Toon and the other men drew the fish in the net onto the riverbank and looked up. "Hello, Pick," he said. "Kanal, what are you doing here?" "Father," Kanal replied, "Uncle believes that a hurricane is headed this way. He is worried about the maize. It could be destroyed if it is not completely harvested before the hurricane hits." Toon listened and then turned to Pick. "My brother can normally tell about these type of things," he said. "We are family. We will all help you pick your corn. Tell Zook that was Pick's father's name, that I will come this afternoon and bring other family members to help." The boys grinned with excitement. "Thank you, Uncle," said Pick. "I will tell my father." He ran off to tell him the news. Kanal looked down and saw that his father had caught many fish. He picked some up, and Toon took the rest. Then they headed back to the village. As they came to their village, Toon stopped each time he saw other relatives to ask if they would help harvest the maize for Zook. Everyone agreed to help. Families all depended on each other in their efforts to grow plants, hunt and fish, and even build or repair one another's homes. Each person knew that when it was his or her turn to ask for help, the extended family would be there. By the time Kanal and Toon reached home, everything was arranged. Toon said, "This afternoon, your Uncle Zook will find that he and Pick have all the help they need harvesting the maize. Then we will need to prepare our house for the hurricane." Remember, an extended family includes people like aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins. So that afternoon, Kanal, Toon, and all their relatives helped Zook and Pick harvest their maize. They all worked late into the evening, and then everyone went back to their houses to get ready for the hurricane. They hoped that the hurricane would not damage their homes, but they would have to wait and see. Awesome job with that story, boys and girls. So I hope everyone enjoyed that story. And what we are going to do next is we are going to answer some questions about our story. So I know that everyone was listening so attentively to that story. So what group of people or civilization is today's read aloud about? That's right. I heard someone say it was about the Maya. So our next question, where and when did this story take place? I hear some good answers. Someone said rainforest. I heard someone say Mexico, Central America, and it happened a long time ago, maybe about 3,000 years ago. So what crop was very important to the Maya? Yes, corn or maize, and maize is the Spanish word for corn. Our last question. Why was Pick so worried about his family's maize or corn? That's exactly right. There was a hurricane coming, and he was worried that it would destroy the maize before they could harvest it. Then his family would not have enough food to eat. Awesome, awesome, awesome job, boys and girls. So what I want to do is we're going to do a little word work activity. So I want you to look at our new word for today's lesson. We're going to take a look at our slides. So our new word for today, one of our new words, is harvest. The word harvest. Harvest means to pick or gather a crop or crops. Can you say the word harvest with me 3 times? Harvest, harvest, harvest. Very good. Harvest means, like I just said, to pick or gather a crop or crops. Farmers harvest their tomatoes when they are plump and ripe or ready to eat. What kinds of fruits or vegetables would you want to harvest? I heard a lot of great answers. Awesome job. So one more time, what's the word we've been talking about? The word harvest. Now, this is what I would like for you to do. If you have a pencil and a piece of paper, I want you to draw a picture of something that you might harvest, and I want you to write a sentence about it. And when you write your sentence, I want you to read that sentence to someone. So after we're done with our lesson, this is going to be your homework. I hope that you all have a great day. I had so much fun learning with you all today. So what we are going to do, our very last thing that we are going to do is to look at our civilizations chart. Now, this is our civilizations chart. We will use this chart throughout this unit to identify and compare the Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca. This right here, this picture right here, is an illustration of the Mayan people farming. I'm going to place the image card on the chart to help us remember that the Maya farmed. So here we have farming and the Maya farmed. So let's put our picture right here to show that the Maya farmed. Now, throughout this unit, we are going to fill in this chart together. So I want everyone to remember that the Maya farmed, and then next time we will look at the we will look at the Aztec and the Inca as well. So boys and girls, I just want to say thank you so much for learning with us today. All rights to this lesson belong to CKLA, and we just want to say we just want to thank them for publicly sharing these valuable resources, core knowledge resources with us. We really appreciate it. I cannot wait to keep learning with you all, so I will see you all next time.